lot of things about the modern day are pretty horrible. You know, you have Gen Z people, Twitter people, or just social media in general. You know, stuff that's pretty bad, especially when it comes down to people. People now, compared to back then, are hypersensitive, and with that hypersensitivity comes the fact that they're going to do some dumb shit, i.e. gaming boycotts. Now, boycotts in general aren't really fucking stupid. There are some that actually work, but I mean, when social media tries boycotting something, they either A, forget about it entirely, or B, they'll just still support it regardless. Thus, a gaming boycott exists as a joke. Pretty much the biggest joke of all boycotts. I'm pretty sure a large majority of, gaming boycotts, can be successful. I'm pretty sure there are some that are successful, but we're going to be talking about the ones that completely fucking failed, i.e. a large majority of them, and how it fucking affected the game as a whole. I'm going to be talking about 3 boycotts, pretty much 2 exist for the same fucking game. So let's get into it.
Golly, sucking freaking penis, bro. Get off his penis, man. Jesus Christ. Get off of this man's meat.
This is probably the more notable one because of the fact that, well, a bunch of YouTubers were talking about it at the time, and it was just fucking ridiculous. So why was this game, trying to be boycotted? Well, because, here's how basically, I'll just describe it in, the way of fucking the caveman.
J.K. Rowling not good person. People mad at J.K. Rowling on Twitter. Twitter then get mad at Harry Potter fan. Twitter then accuse people who play game or are a fan of Harry Potter being transphobe or homophobe, or just not liking LGBT or Jewish people.
Now, if J.K. Rowling is anti-Semitic or not, I don't really know, but I do know that she's not really a big fan of the LGBTQ, and so Twitter, because of that very news, was basically mad at her and tried boycotting this fucking game and accusing anybody who played it of being a transphobe and a bigot. There was even a streamer trying to call people transphobic because of this fucking game and people were gonna play it. And not only that, but these fucking Twitter people, because people on Twitter are totally fucking sane, especially on the ratchet place known as Stan Twitter, right? This is like fucking Jim Cornette segment. I should really do Jim Cornette segments here, but any fucking way. But anyway, the totally sane people on the fucking bird app known as Twitter, the horrible app that it is, they basically decided to make a fucking website. The people on this app made a website to track down and dox anybody who was playing the game, or as they called it, that wizard game, which I find it funny that they're scared to call it by its own name. Like fucking boo, Hogwarts Legacy, am I right? But it got so bad that a streamer and his girlfriend were harassed by the chat just by playing this fucking game. Now, I guarantee you, this game would not really be that popular had it not been for the boycott and controversy surrounding this fucking game. But no, because Twitter is totally fucking smart, they did that and well, the game sold billions of copies and it got a bunch of attention from people. So they essentially created their own worst fucking enemy.
I created you. You created me.
Wait a minute, why did you create that guy?
I didn't. He's talking crazy.
Now let's get into the 2 obscure gaming boycotts, and that is for Final Fantasy 16.
Pussy, pussy, dick.
Anybody who's had a slight look at my channel will know I'm a Final Fantasy fan, and so when I saw these 2 fucking things, I was honestly dumbfounded and fucking just like... One of them was them boycotting the game because of the fact that, it's not a turn-based Final Fantasy game. Dear fucking God. Dear forbid. God forbid you have a game where you can move around and fight enemies and do whatever the fuck you want. Listen, I love the original Final Fantasy VII. I love Final Fantasy VIII. I love Final Fantasy X, along with some of the other games. However, I can admit that turn-based gameplay is far more fucking boring than gameplay where you can move around and do whatever. Some people were even considering a, not my Final Fantasy hashtag because, it's not fucking turn-based, God forbid. This obviously didn't really go anywhere, and to be fair, you'd probably have to scour around to find some of these comments nowadays. Then this one pretty much pissed me off despite how minor it was, but because of the fact that some people agreed with a dumbass who made a video about this, it honestly just astonishes me. So people were mad about Final Fantasy 16, not because of the gameplay, not because of the story, actually because of the story, but only one thing about it, because there's a lack of diversity in the fucking game itself. Like, a guy literally made a video on how Final Fantasy 16 is holding back gaming because of its lack of diversity, and I'm sitting there like, how can people agree with this dumbass? Like, we truly have fallen from fucking grace, right? We truly have fallen from fucking grace, where we're mad at games because of a lack of diversity, rather than the storytelling or the gameplay. And it's not like Final Fantasy isn't a diverse series. They have some pretty diverse characters, so I don't know what the fuck you're going on about. Again, it's a small minority, but it still basically makes me mad that people were complaining about a video game not because of the gameplay or potential bugs or the fucking story, but because there wasn't much diversity in it. And the game has a medieval Europe setting, so, like, do you just expect a bunch of, like, random fucking, like, people just thrown in there like a blend pot? Like, when you go to, like, medieval Europe or some shit, right? You just see, like, a bunch of European white dudes, you're gonna get, like, mad. And again, this boycott went nowhere, and it basically sold about as much copies as, like, Resident Evil 4 did, right? About as much as Resident Evil 4 did in, like, I think the first week or the first week and a half of the game launching. And even a bunch of streamers were actually buying the game on stream because they were super impressed with the demo alone.
Thanks for the money, dummy.
Look, I know I went on a little bit of a tangent, but you can get what I mean if you were paying attention. Or B, you know, the controversy and boycott basically make the game sell more units and more copies and blah 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 because again, more people are paying attention to the product because they're trying to see what all the hoopla is about. In conclusion, they basically treat it like a New Year's resolution where they say they'll do it and then they never do and then you know what already happens. Again, it's pretty much just this scene from Across the Spider-Verse.
I created you.
You created me.
Wait a minute, why did you create that guy?
I didn't. He's talking crazy.
If you like this video, you can go ahead and check out my channel along with a few other channels that I'll link in the description of this one. So yeah, stay tuned for more uploads and well, that's pretty much all I have to say.